What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. Spoiler-free review. This might be up by the time I get back from San Diego Comic-Con. Yes, I am in San Diego. Different background for this video, but I couldn't escape this place without talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. So Deadpool and Wolverine is a movie about Deadpool and Wolverine, where Deadpool is once again played by Ryan Reynolds, and Wolverine is once again played by Hugh Jackman, even though he retired after Logan. A listless Wade Wilson toils away in civilian life with his days as the morally flexible mercenary Deadpool behind it. But when his homeworld faces an existential threat, Wade must reluctantly suit up again with an even more reluctant Wolverine. I love Deadpool. I really like Deadpool too, not as much as Deadpool, but Deadpool is a character that is just, he's so funny. Because he breaks the fourth wall, because he can be that R-rated type of comic book character. So when Marvel was like, hey, we're integrating him into the MCU, I got a little bit worried that it would be more like Once Upon a Deadpool instead of Deadpool and Deadpool 2. And luckily, Feige and Disney were able to give Ryan Reynolds the green light to make it rated R. Thank God, because I had a blast with Deadpool and Wolverine. It is not a perfect movie by any means, and I'll get into my criticisms and gripes with the movie, but yeah, sure. If nostalgia baiting is something that you don't like, you're not going to like this movie, because that's essentially what it is. I don't know. For me, stuff like that works. I don't agree with critics who are like, this is just for nostalgia baiting, and if you're a massive comic book fan, you'll like it. If you're not a massive comic book fan, you won't like it. If you don't like the first two, you won't like it. Like, I think that's all valid, but but I just feel like we're at a point now in time where everybody's just dunking on the MCU. Once Martin Scorsese came out and said some comments about it, everybody's just like, you know what, maybe those movies aren't as good as they actually are, and probably should be. And this kind of breaks that up. Like, if you think that Marvel has been on a downward trend since Endgame, I think that they've stayed somewhat consistent. There has been a little bit of a lack of quality lately, I think. Quantumania, I like the Marvels, but like Secret Invasion I haven't even bothered with, which I heard is awful. I didn't like She-Hulk. So it has been a little bit for me on a downward quality, but for many, I think they will be really happy to find that Deadpool and Wolverine is a breath of fresh air. This is the jolt of life, the jolt of energy that the MCU needs in their eyes. Ryan Reynolds is just perfect for Deadpool. He's the merc with the mouth. He's awesome. It's like he never left the role. And Hugh Jackman, oh man, I cannot believe Hugh Jackman was back in this movie. Like, I get that we got the announcement he was coming back. I got that he was in the trailer. So we physically saw him back before the movie was even released. But even watching this movie, after, this is what, 7 years after Logan, after he supposedly retired from the role of Wolverine, the fact that we saw Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine, it was like, what are my eyes looking at right now? It was kind of like the same situation with No Way Home, when both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield came back as Spider-Man. It was like, what am I looking at? Like, I can't believe this is actually happening on screen. I love the banter between Deadpool and Wolverine. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds bounce off each other so much. They capture this type of bromance that just isn't present in a lot of movies anymore to me. Or it feels so forced in movies now. And you can tell that their fake feud in real life is really fueling this bromance. They give it their all in this movie. Their bromance in real life, their bromance as their characters in the movie that really, really bring this thing to life. There are quite a few surprises, nostalgia baiting, and all that. But it works for me. You have a bunch of surprises. You have a bunch of cameos. I'm not going to say who. Just saying. Like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, it never took away from the core and the heart of the movie. And it really can't. Because if it had done that, then yeah, maybe I would have a problem with nostalgia baiting and all these cameos and callbacks to previous movies. But the heart and soul of the themes of this movie are still present. It still feels like it's a Deadpool movie, co-starring Wolverine. That's essentially what this movie had to do for me. It all worked. Mostly for me. Like, that stuff worked. And not only that, but like, it just felt like a celebration of what came before. You have so many callbacks to the Fox movies, So many callbacks to some other movies that Marvel didn't have the license to, but lent out to other studios. It just felt like a celebration of all of that when they were poking fun at those movies with the jokes. They weren't in poor taste. They were actually really funny jokes, and I'm glad that they were here because then that means that we could actually reminisce about some of these movies that are being referenced here. Themes here too about rising above failure and living for something even if you don't feel like you have something to live for are really the heart and soul, other than Wolverine and Deadpool's romance, of this movie, at least in the second half. And I think that those themes are really, really hit upon. And they do a really good job, at least in the second half of this movie, getting you to care about the emotional stakes of the story and those themes. I just think the first 30 minutes or so were a little bit choppy, a little bit messy. The plot is quite all over the place for me. It does feel like it has a few moving parts to it, a few too many. It does feel like it drags on a little bit too long. And as you get towards the end of the movie, it does feel like it is pumping out plot points from the MCU machine. And that did worry me a little bit. I would say it was mostly in those first 30 to 40 minutes where it did feel a bit messy. And Cassandra Nova as a villain just didn't resonate with me. I don't know what it is. I feel like villains now in big blockbusters just aren't in the movies all that much anymore, and that's bothering me. And I felt like that bothered me here. I felt like she needed a little bit more screen time, even though the movie is 2 hours and 7 minutes. I needed more with her. But other than that, I really liked Deadpool and Wolverine. This was a fun time at the theater. It didn't have to be perfect for me. It didn't have to be a 5-star 4.5-star type of movie. I was just like, just give me a good old Deadpool and Wolverine romp. I just want to see Hugh Jackman back. I just want to honestly be entertained and have a lot of fun with this movie. And it delivered on that front. I really liked Deadpool and Wolverine with a full bucket of popcorn. So if you guys have seen Deadpool and Wolverine, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. When I get back from San Diego, I will do a spoiler review. Cannot wait to talk about this movie more in depth. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.